In video number 12, we're going to talk about keyword density and how it affects writing to your audience. In article marketing, you want to have a keyword density of 1 to 1.5%. That means if you have an article of 350 words, you want to use the keyword 4 to 5 times in the article. Here's how you should distribute your keywords. If possible, the very first words in your paragraph should be, in your first paragraph, should be the keyword. Sometimes you have to use a few words as introduction before you can work the keywords in, but it's best if the very first words in the first paragraph are your keyword. Then 2 or 3 times in the rest of the article you should use the keywords. At the very end of your last paragraph, you should use the keyword again. That's the best distribution of keywords that I can tell you. And this is based on a 350 word article. A shorter article, you'll need fewer keywords. Longer article, you'll need to use the keywords more. Now we need to talk about something called LSI. That stands for Latent Semantic Indexing. Once upon a time, in websites, people would use the keyword 10 or even 20%, and they would show up high on Google for this. Unfortunately, that wouldn't provide a good user experience, and Google is all about providing the best user experience for the people who use their search engine. So in an attempt to avoid this, what was called keyword stuffing, they developed LSI. And what they did was develop a huge database of related words. So for instance, if your keyword is wedding gown, Google search engine knows that you should also have words such as bride and flowers in your article. Now, you don't want to get too technical with this. The best way to tackle LSI is just to write naturally. If you're writing about wedding gowns, it makes sense that you would have brides mentioned in the article. It makes sense that you'd have flowers or chapel or reception or wedding cake. All of those things make sense. So if you write naturally, LSI will come naturally. If you try and keyword stuff, you may have more problems with this. Now I want to talk about 3 audiences, and they deal with keywords differently. And that's why I want to bring up the 3 audiences that you have. The first audience that you have to have, and the one that you'll have to pass first, is the article directory editors. These are the gatekeepers who decide whether or not your articles even end up in the directory. Their goal is to have quality articles for their website so that they have a good reputation. They don't want you to have too many keywords in your article, both because it makes the article sound stifled, and also because they want to keep their reputation with the search engines. Next, it's very important that you know you cannot use PLR if you're going to use article directory. PLR stands for private label rights, and some people sell articles to multiple buyers. And this is fine if you have your own website, but it's not fine for article directory editors. If you want to use PLR for article marketing, you must do significant rewriting on it. Another thing article directory editors don't like is when your article itself is promotional. Remember, the article is the give. That's where you give good information. And the resource box is the take. That's where you ask people to do something like go to your website. Another thing article directory editors care a lot about is that you have proper English grammar and spelling. On forums that I visit, I often see people complain that their articles don't get accepted to various article directories. And the post at the forum itself is quite lacking in grammar and spelling, and they don't understand why the article directories don't want their articles. If you have challenges with English grammar and spelling, article marketing may not be the best solution for you because you'll be very frustrated at not being able to submit to article directories. For a complete guide on what article directories our editors are looking for, I suggest you take a look at the editorial guidelines at ezinearticles.com. Their page is http://ezinearticles.com/editorial guidelines.html, or you can go directly to ezines.articles.com, and there's a tab that'll take you to their editorial guidelines right in the left. Now, the second hurdle you'll have to deal with are the search engines, and they actually take your readers to the directory itself once it's posted on the article directory. Now, the search engines have a slightly different objective, and so when you're writing for the search engines, you have to give them what they want, and that is they want a quality experience for their users. In other words, if someone goes to Google and types in wedding gown and they don't find what they're looking for, it's very likely that they'll go to Yahoo and type in wedding gown and see if they can find what they're looking for there. Now, when somebody switches from Google to Yahoo, Google loses all of those potential customers for AdWords. So Google wants to provide the very best experience they can for their users so that people will stay with Google. And that's kind of the philosophy behind search engines. Now, the search engines determine, they don't have human editors. The article directories have human editors. Google doesn't. They have what's called an algorithm, or huge computer software programs. And the computer software programs have to determine whether your article will provide that great experience for their users using things like the keywords you use, whether you did good LSI. They also look at things like the domain name, and one of the things when you place an article on eZine Articles or the other article directories is after ezinearticles.com there'll be a slash in your article title, and in that way you get your keywords into the domain name itself by having your keywords in the title, which is what shows up after the slash. Another thing that they determine is the page rank. And one of the reasons that article marketing works is because you're taking advantage of the page rank of the article directory itself. It's unlikely that you will be able to get your own website up to a page rank of 7, which eZine Articles is a page rank of 7. Go Articles is a page rank of 6. Most individual websites are lucky to get to 2 or 3. So you're taking advantage of somebody else's page rank to promote your own articles through eZine Articles. And then the other thing that they take a look at, or one of the other things, because there's many things, is the incoming links to your website, to your article, which is why you want to build links both to your articles and to your web page, which we will talk about doing that in a later video. Finally, your reader is a audience that you have to write for, and this is your final audience. Remember, the editors and the search engines are the gatekeepers. If you don't get by the article editors and the search engines, you're not going to get to the reader. However, readers are the ones that determine whether your article is effective, so you've got to write for your reader primarily. There's lots of sources of information. Remember, we call the web the information superhighway, so your article has to be compelling. Your reader wants you to give them something useful before they'll give you the click. Too many articles are written to get past the search engines or to get past the editors, and they don't have the reader in mind. You've got to keep the reader in mind when you write these articles. And one of the ways you do that is you give them something useful. You give them a nugget, but you don't give everything away. Instead, you say, for more information or for the best information, you have to go to my site. And that's how you write for your reader. Remember, you've got to write for all 3 audiences if you want to be effective. And keywords are an important part of this, but making sure that all 3 audiences are addressed is the big part.